So no matter how much resistance he faces going forward, look, Trump's presence on the Hill last night, just his presence alone, was itself a breathtaking achievement. And that's the angle. All right, joining us now, Piers Morgan, host of the Piers Morgan Uncensored show on YouTube. Piers, great to see you tonight. Now, you say that this speech cemented Trump's dominance in U.S. politics. Why?
Well, Laura, thanks for having me. Lovely to see you. Look, I think you summed it up perfectly there in your opening monologue. I mean, if Donald Trump could have scripted a reaction from Democrats to his speech, it would have been exactly what unfurled before our eyes last night. I was watching it live here in New York, and every time I thought they couldn't plunge any lower, they plunged a little bit lower. And if you can't bring yourself to get up onto your feet and applaud a 13-year-old boy who's had, I think, over a dozen brain cancer surgeries, who's come through, who's survived, and who has a dream, and that dream was to be a Secret Service agent. And the President of the United States, in front of the world, gives him that moment and makes him an honorary member of the Secret Service. If that doesn't move you, just as a human being, putting aside politics, to get up off your backside and applaud that brave little boy, wow. I don't know what does. And the fact that Democrats couldn't do that, these are the people, Laura, who like to have the hashtag be kind on their social media biographies. These are the compassionate people. These are the ones who care more than anybody. But look at them last night. Look at the way they treated DJ Daniel. Look at the way they treated the family of that poor murdered girl. Look at the way they behaved with their stupid signs, which meant no sense to anybody. It looked like a sixth form common room in a college. Look at everything they did, and the walkouts and all the rest of it. If you're Donald Trump, you are watching that back today and laughing your head off.
Now, Piers, the media, the kind of, again, never Trump media, they made it worse at times last night. This was a moment on MSNBC with Nicole Wallace speaking of the child with cancer. Watch.
The beauty of that child is the tragedy of the Trump presidency. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide.
Piers, what was that?
One of the most disgusting, shameful, reprehensible things I have ever seen on the news in America. And the bar was pretty high for that accolade. I thought what Nicole Wallace did last night in taking that boy's story and in a weirdly dystopian, horrific way, asking us to think about whether he might kill himself. What on earth was she thinking? Why is she still in her job today? Why has nobody at NBC watched that back like the rest of us, aghast in horror, and said, you're fired? Because that was a disgusting thing to do. And she wasn't the only one at MSNBC. Rachel Maddow, in a laughably ironic rant about don't politicize this boy's story, then politicized his story. And they couldn't get their heads around it. Again, Laura, it was the lack of humanity. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. If you're a human being and that story doesn't just move you like a human being should be moved, there is something wrong with you. There was something wrong with those Democrats who didn't get up off their backside. There's something wrong with those MSNBC anchors. And it says an awful lot that they still pretend they are the caring ones, the compassionate ones.
Well, what they always said about Trump, Piers, and you were around to hear this, is that he was lacking humanity. Donald Trump has no humanity. How many times do we hear that? He has no compassion, he has no feeling. And look, you've known him for so long. I've known him for decades. And like, I always knew that was false. But when you saw him in the Oval Office today with that young boy, and you saw him at Butler, after Butler, I mean, he obviously has enormous compassion for the country, so much so that he put himself through running again, despite what he knew it would do to him.
Yeah,
and so they're the ones who are inhumane and breaking protocol.
No question. I love that scene in the Oval Office. I love that little boy getting his moment with the President of the United States. It was a moment of real humanity. But there's a bigger picture here for the Democrats, which is they clearly have absolutely no idea what they're doing as a party now or how to take on Donald Trump Mark II. I spoke to President Trump last week on the phone for quite a long chat, and he was in the most confident mood and relaxed mood and most focused mood that I've known him for many, many years. This is a man who I believe has had a second shot at two things. One, his life, where he literally took a bullet, grazed his ear, and miraculously survived. I think he feels he's got a do-over on his life. And I also think he's got a do-over in his mind on the presidency. And he's learned the lessons from the first term that he served of the things he got right, the things he got wrong. And he's hit the ground. I mean, you say hit the ground running. This guy has hit the ground like a hurricane this time round. And it is thrilling. It is exciting. Yeah. It is like nothing we've ever seen before. He's not going to get it all right. But certainly at the moment, the rest of the world, I can tell you back in the UK, the rest of the world's watching this with a sense of awe, like, my God, the dynamism that is happening in America.
Right. Well, Piers, that's a good one. It's hard to get anything done in a parliamentary system. It is. It's harder. It's hard here, but it's harder there. But I think you're right. You've captured it. He is a man on a mission. And it's like from the beginning of that campaign when everyone counted him out to today, to last night, to this moment, he's a man on a mission, and he's just going forward. And all this noise on the outside, and the pouting, and the paddles, and the stunts, and the walkouts, they just looked really small last night, and they're getting really bad advice. And I don't know what consultants are giving them this advice, but they should all be fired, and they should all go home and go into a different line of work. Piers, will you come back soon? Because we love having you on. Will you come back?
I would love to. It's been great to be on again. Thanks, Laura.
Great to see you, Piers. Thanks so much.